Hey everyone, today we're going to be talking about the gear that I used on the Knobstone Trail this last December in 2023. This gear worked really well for me and I just want to show you the setup that I have so far. Hello! Well, I figured it was about time that I do a gear video, and I got a couple different gear sets here. What I'm mainly going to be going through is what I carried with me on the Knobstone Trail this last December. It was planned to be a 4-day hike. I ended up doing it in 3, mainly just because it's difficult to only hike during the day and not hike at night because the days are so short in winter, so I just went ahead and kept hiking and I got it done a little bit quicker than I anticipated. That being said, I did pack for 4 days and I was well supplied on food, probably even brought a little bit too much, but so it goes. So I have my pack. This is actually currently set up for a hike I'm doing tomorrow, which includes ham radio, so my ham radio gear is in here as well. I'll be doing a separate video on that gear, which you can find in my other videos. So I'm going to just take things out here and talk a little bit about them as I go, and whatever wasn't used on the Knobstone Trail, I'll just set aside. So let's just start with the obvious, the pack. This is the Atmos AG65. This is considered one of the heavier packs that you can get. It's over 4 pounds, or about right at 4 pounds, which sounds silly to be considered heavy, but in terms of what is out there now, it's a pretty heavy pack. That being said, it's my personal preference because it carries the weight so well. I feel like I'm just in a big hug the whole time from the bag. It feels about the same when I'm carrying between 20 pounds and 40 pounds. Like, obviously there's a difference, but the way the bag feels on my body doesn't really seem to change that much, which is nice. So yeah, that's the Atmos 65. Excellent bag. You can probably see down here on the bottom, it is a silly item, but one that I cherish, and that's my sit pad. Having a wet log to sit on, or the ground, anywhere that you're going to sit in the woods is going to have some moisture most likely, and why not just have a little pad to sit down. This also helps if you need a little bit of extra padding in an area under your sleeping pad or under your tent. It can also be used to cover up your phone or whatever you really need. I don't know. Whatever you can come up with, the uses are there for it. It's a silly item, but it weighs like nothing, and it's nice to have. I've used it many times now. You could also just cut up an old sleeping pad if you have one. That'd be fine too. But there it is. Digging into the pack here, I believe on top I threw in here. We'll start with the sleep system, which I guess we can just start with the tent. It's actually outside here, but as for the tent, I went with the Nemo Hornet Elite. This is a 2-person backpacking tent, which basically gives me room to lay down and then bring my pack in with me. I like to have my pack inside rather than leaving it outside or in the vestibule, which this does have 2 vestibules, which is nice. It is a freestanding tent, which there are lighter options out there, but I like knowing that regardless of where I'm at, I have a tent that can stand up. I don't have to worry about the ground being able to hold stakes. I don't have to worry about my trekking poles being able to support the weight. I don't have to worry about finding trees like with a hammock. I have a shelter always, which is nice, and that peace of mind is well worth the 2 pounds that it weighs, mind you. It does not weigh a lot. It's 2 pounds. including everything, except for the footprint. The footprint weighs a little bit more, but we'll talk about that in just a bit. There is a mesh liner, so in summer you can just set that up and see the stars. Then there's a rain cover, so it is a 2-wall tent, and it's excellent. I used it each night on the knobstone. Sets up quick, blocks the wind really well, surprisingly well for as thin as it was. I was skeptical when it started snowing on me and I'm setting this thing up wondering how I'm ever going to sleep that night. But I was able to sleep because this blocked the wind and it held in my heat, and it did a great job. So shout out to Nemo. Thank you for hooking me up on that. Moving on, you're going to see a lot of Nemo products here because that's just kind of what I prefer. As for the sleeping bag, I keep it stored in this mesh bag, as you should. I have the Nemo Forte sleeping bag. This is the tall version, which I'm 6 feet tall, so I have plenty of room. I can even scooch down into the bag and kind of roll it up over myself and really hold in that warmth. It is synthetic, which I went with because I'm planning on using it on the AT, and I don't want to worry about it getting wet and losing its R value. I want to have it still be able to insulate and keep me warm even if it gets wet. Which one of the evenings I was in it, I was hammock camping recently, and it started raining on me real bad, and yeah, it definitely got wet, but it was still warm, so that was nice. I can't remember the exact weight. You can look it up, but not much. I mean, I'm used to old Army surplus gear, so everything that's coming out now it's pretty great. Okay, inside that, especially in winter, it's nice to have another layer. So I do have the Nemo Tracer long, which is just a shell that goes inside the bigger sleeping bag, which helps insulate you a little bit more. It also keeps your gross body, if you've been hiking for a few days, from touching the actual sleeping bag. So it keeps things a little bit nicer. And on the AT, my plan is to eventually just use this. I like having something around me when I sleep at night, so having this will be great, and I can ship home the Forte until I need it later in the season, once I get up north and it starts getting cold again. I have not actually taken this out or used it yet, but I'm looking forward to it. It arrived after I was done, so there's that. Next up, we have the footprint for the tent. So this is the footprint for the Nemo Hornet Elite, and I went back and forth on whether I should get the footprint or not. At first I did not. I used this, which everyone suggests, Tyvek. This is basically house wrap. It worked really well. It's very durable. It's pretty much waterproof. It's cushioning somewhat. And now there are different types you can get. This is the thicker and probably heavier of the types. But it worked really well. I just put my tent on top of it, traced a line, and cut it out the shape. You can go through and put like rivets in to hold the tent stakes and stuff if you want. I ended up just going with the footprint because when I weighed them, this actually weighs a little bit less than this. So why? I just went with the footprint. I know a lot of people say you don't need them, and I believe they believe that's true for themselves, and it may be. I like knowing that if I'm somewhere and I set up on, I don't see that stick that's there, I can put this down and it'll block the stick from coming into my tent. That fabric is awesome in the tent, but it is thin, so I like having this extra layer of protection. You can also double it as an emergency rain cover should you need. Who knows? But there's that. So out with that. Moving on, we have the sleeping pad, which I went with the Nemo Tensor insulated. This is the long wide. Again, I'm 6 feet wide and I roll over a lot. So I like having that extra width, and it's still pretty narrow, but it works really well. This thing, it comes with another bag. You basically just put air in and roll it up into. It takes about 4 to 5 full bags, but doesn't require hardly any lung power. Fills up really quickly, and it works amazing. I have camped with this setup in 23 degree evenings, 23 degree overnights, and I was perfectly warm. Amazingly so. This is 3 inches thick, but the insulation that's in there provides the air pocket, so your sleeping bag can actually achieve the R value that, or the temperature rating that it's given, which is an important thing. If you're sleeping in a 20-degree bag without a sleeping pad, it's not going to do that. You need the sleeping pad to provide that air gap to fully insulate and get the temperature rating that the bag lists. So keep that in mind. The Nemo products, good for everything. They have lifetime warranty. Anything happens to them, they'll hook you up. Just a great company, which is why I have their pillow. The last item, definitely a comfort item, but I like having a pillow. I don't want to sleep on my food bag, especially the food bag, or anything else. It's nice to have a designated pillow. And all the Nemo sleeping bags have a little pocket where this thing fits perfectly in, and you can just sleep right on it. So, good sleep's important. I like having a pillow. I did end up going with this one. I have another one that I use for different situations, and it's a little bit thicker. That one is the Hien Ultralight Pillow. It's nice. It's not any lighter. It is a little thicker, which makes it almost kind of hard because it wants to scoot out from under you. But it's a great pillow. It's cheap. I got it on Amazon. So if you want something that's less than the Nemo Pillow, there you go. Probably like my mug. Love the smell of rocket fuel in the morning. It's from the Space Museum down in Huntsville, Alabama. Highly recommend going there if you're a space nerd. Okay, I'm going to pull out the stuff that we won't be talking about today, which part of that is this mast, which I'll explain what this is in another video. This is for ham radio. Okay, moving on, we have a series of stuff sacks, dry sacks, which these are a much cheaper version of the others. They're probably not as durable. I don't know if they're heavier, but you know, cost comes down to a factor for a lot of these items. This is Wise Owl Outfitters. You can get all three for I think less than 20 bucks on Amazon. So this is one I just use for food. I was just going out for a quick overnight, so just a little bit of food here. You see I have plenty of room to add food into that bag. Let's see what else we got in these other pockets. Yes, hydration system. So this is the second hydration system I've had. I had the Be Free before, and it works great. But I know that I wanted to eventually upgrade to the Sawyer Squeeze. It's just the tried and true model for the AT, I believe, from everything I've seen. It works great. It screws right onto the threading on a standard water bottle, like the Smart Water Bottle, also very popular on the AT. Buy them once, refill them, reuse them, they'll last forever. Just screws right in. You can use a bag to filter right into your bottle. So Sawyer Squeeze, water filtration. Easy to take care of, easy to use it. Poop kit. Yep, that's pretty standard. Trowel, some wet wipes, biodegradable wet wipes, and definitely hand sanitizer. So, enough said there. As far as cook system goes, when I use one, I don't bring them on every trip, but I just have the little BRS pocket stove. This thing weighs nothing, and like my scale doesn't even register that it's there. And it works really well. Keep a lighter in there always. Just this tiny little stove that folds out and screws right onto the top of any of these. And these splay out, and it actually holds onto my cup really well. So those go out, this goes there, and that'll hold. It's real nice. I've used it tons. It's titanium, super light. It's great. So that's the cook system. One stove, one fuel canister, one stove, and then just a simple cup. This is the GSI Outdoors. I don't think it's titanium, but aluminum cup is great. Titanium ones are like 80 something dollars. If you want to buy that, that's fine. I went with something that was less than 20. Cook system. As far as bowls go, I use the classic thru hiker Talenti jar if I wanted to do cold soaking. I did regretfully put coffee in one of these one time and it warped it real bad, so I use my metal cup for that now. But these work great for all other purposes. Seal up, you can carry it around all day. And then a simple half-gallon milk jug cut off, because this works great as a bowl. That fits right in there, or it even holds just really well. Everything nice and contained. So, cook system. We have another dry sack here with my electronics. I tend to keep those at the top just so I can access them. My food and my electronic bag are usually at the top. So dry sack, and then redundant Ziploc bag. I use Ziploc bags for pretty much everything because keeping stuff dry is important. Just an easy carrying case for my SD cards, some extra batteries for my GoPro, the battery charger for my headlamp, and then all the assorted cables I would need, which is really just the two that are out there right now, and then a battery bank. These things are great. I do have a bigger one that's just a little bit too heavy for what I feel I need. This will last me for a couple days. This is the Anker. I can't remember, it's the 10,000, so works great. PowerCore 10,000. Look into it if you're interested. So yeah, electronics. Another Ziploc bag. This just has some odds and ends in it. I have just an old herb jar that I keep a sewing kit in. So I have a couple needles, some safety pins, and really durable thread, so I can patch anything I need to on the trail. Toothbrush, toothpaste, nail clippers. That's about all you need. I do have some gear ties. These weigh pretty much nothing, and they're endlessly handy. You never know what you're going to need to tie up or extend or whatever, so I just keep these around. I have another sorted items, some tweezers, a big safety pin for puncturing blisters, and then I have a lighter, a backup lighter, and some tape to wrap your blisters in, which absolutely necessary. First aid kit, pretty basic. Some vitamin I, ibuprofen, gotta have it. Some ace bandage, moleskin, and assorted band-aids and antibiotic ointment. Yeah, that's about all you need there, and then some anti-chafing things, because, you know, you're walking all day, it happens. What else we got in here? Alright, now we're getting into my ham radio equipment, which I don't need to talk about here today. So I'll simply pull those out and move them to the side. Alright, final item in the big bag there is clothing. So clothing I'm still figuring out. I know what works for me on what I have. The main thing I don't have yet is a shirt. I was going to look into the Mountain Hardwear shirts, and I tried them on, and my shoulders and chest are just too broad or big or whatever. It felt like I was wearing a straitjacket. So those aren't going to work. If you have any suggestions on good shirts that I'll just need the one for the AT, and I'll be wearing it every day. So I want it to be durable and breathable, and preferably have long sleeves that I can roll up. Checks all the boxes. So if you know of any, put them in the comments. This is a True Work, is the brand, sun hoodie. This thing works great, even just as another layer for cold. These I've had since the military. The Army issued me these, and we call them Polypros. It's just pure polyester warm wear. This is the summer version. There is a winter version that's much thicker, and I've never felt the need to wear them. These are plenty warm for me. Those thicker ones are just in excess, but they do exist. So I call these my mithril, if you're a fan of Lord of the Rings, because it's just magic. It's so light and lightweight, and you put it on and you're just instantly warm. It's amazing. So I always have these with me. They're good, and I will use them. So that's basically what I'll sleep in, or if it gets too cold, I have the option to put those on. I will be using some hiking pants. For now, I have the True Work T1s. They're the summer weight pant. They're amazing. They're flexible, really comfortable. And then, of course, darn tough socks. I have 2 pairs of those. And I have not figured out what shoes I'm going to use yet, so I will let you know about that when I figure it out. Also open to suggestions about those. Right now, I just have the Merrell Moab 2s, and they work fine. Okay. See if there's anything else in here. Alright, top pocket here. Just some other odds and ends. Ugh. I always like having some Mio Energy. It's nice to just be able to squirt, get a little caffeine boost if you want. The headlamp I'm using is the Black Diamond Spot 400. It's a great headlamp, and it has a rechargeable battery, which is nice. Doesn't come with that. You have to buy the separate rechargeable battery, but it works great. A non-name brand buff, but that's what it is. This is the Spec Ops buff. It works great. I think I got it as a gift. Spoon. Always need a spoon. This is a Sea to Summit. Just simple spoon. Can't go wrong. I guess spork technically. Depending on where you're going, I always like to have a map for the AT. I'm not going to carry the weight of all the extra maps, but around here, especially because I'm not always on trail, sometimes we're doing backcountry bushwhacking, and having a map with a compass is a nice addition. So this is a map of the Tecumseh Trail here in Indiana, and then I also have one of the Knobstone Trail. Knobstone's pretty well marked. I didn't need it at all, but it's nice to have as a backup, and I have a little compass that I carry as a backup as well. Okay, so there's some items that I use in lieu of some of these other items, depending on the situation. So if I'm going out and car camping, I can pretty much bring whatever. Or if I'm taking my motorcycle somewhere and camping, I tend to use a hammock. So I have a separate setup that I use. I still use the same sleeping bag because it works great. You can flip it over and kind of use it as a quilt in a hammock. The first time I used a hammock, it was in May of 2023, and it was frigid. We went to West Virginia, and getting up there to some of the mountains, it got down below freezing on some of the nights, and I've never been so cold trying to sleep. I had no idea about under quilts. I had no idea about any of that. So I learned, and now I have, well, the hammock is the Grand Trunk. This is a nice one because it's, excuse me, got a mosquito net built right in. So you hang it up, you unzip and you crawl in, then you can zip back this cover, this netting, and it protects you from all the bugs. It's so lightweight, it's compact, everything I need is right inside here, including tree straps, and then I just use Black Diamond rock climbing carabiners to hold the weight on each side, and it works really well. As far as underquilt, I also don't store my underquilt in a stuff sack, so I keep it in here. I cannot remember the name of, or the brand of this, so I'll put it right down here when editing this, and then you'll know. But it works really well. You kind of hang your hammock first, hang this up under it, and seal up the ends to where it kind of hugs the hammock, and then you lay down into it, I've never been so warm laying in a hammock. It's incredible. It's instantly noticed. This is down, so I specifically don't keep it stuffed up. Like to take care of it. But it's so light and it compacts so small, so on a backpacking trip where you know there will be trees and you want to hammock camp, it's perfect. If I'm not going out for a week, and I know I'm only going out for a couple days, and I want to have a more relaxed camping focus, because that's the difference. You can either be going out with hiking in mind, or you can be going out with camping in mind. And there's plenty of gray area in between those two extremes. When I am specifically wanting to set up a nice camp and relax at the camp and maybe do day hikes out from the camp, I tend to bring a few more comfort items for the camp. One of which would be an actual cookware. This is also left over from the military, but it's just a nice little stove. Put it right on the fire, cook whatever you want. As far as trekking poles go, I went with the economical route and just bought some off Amazon. These are the Trekology poles, and I am impressed so far. They've done their job really well. For the knobstone, I use these a lot. There's a lot of times where you're climbing so steep that you're basically just holding onto these and kind of working yourself forward, or you're going downhill, which is even worse, and you're trying not to topple, and these things are flashing out, and you're stabbing into stuff to keep from falling, and they work very well. They've held up to everything I've thrown at them, no complaints. For the AT, I'll probably start with these if they're still going, and if they break, either get another pair or upgrade at that time. But if it works, why not? Another silly item, comfort item that I like to bring on the trail is a musical instrument. And I play the bagpipes, and I've been going over trying to think of a way to bring bagpipes onto the AT or into my hikes, and it's just not feasible. They're such a sensitive instrument because of all the reeds and drones that are involved that it's just not going to work. But I do have a silly penny whistle that is keyed in the same way that a bagpipe is, so I can play all the same tunes on it, and it ends up being really nice. Works great. Love it. That is about it for what I carried with me on the knobstone. I had my bag, I had my sleep system, I had my tent, I had all of my food, I had my emergency gear and backup little provision things. As far as food goes, I bring kind of whatever I'm feeling in the moment. The packaged tuna works really well. Bring some mayonnaise packets to throw in there. I always had a chocolate bar for the end of the day because that's a nice thing to look forward to. Instant oatmeal, dry coffee, that's another one, instant coffee specifically. Having that in the morning really sets the day off well, in my opinion. Not everybody does it, but it works well for me. And that's about it. Cook system, I had hydration. All right, so hydration. A lot of people use the hydration packs, the bladders that go inside of these, and I do have one of those, and I do use it from time to time. I feel like, especially on the AT, I'm not going to want to mess with that. It had some weight. It's also something that can be punctured and leak. I'm just going to stick with the double smart water system. This is a liter, so I can carry 2 liters, and maybe even have a third bottle that I keep halfway full or empty depending on where I'm at in the trail, but I always have the option to fill it up. And then I never put dirty water in these. I always use a dirty water collection sack that then screws into the Sawyer squeeze, and then that goes into these bottles. So only clean water into these. That's an important thing. And that's about it. I love this gear. It's worked really well for me. This is nowhere near finalized. I'm still going over my list, still talking to people who have actually thru hiked and learning from their experience and tweaking things. And it's very likely that what I start out with on the AT won't be what I end with. You tend to learn as you go, and that's a great thing. So remaining flexible while also having a plan, I think, is kind of where I'm at this point. So if you have any questions, feel free to comment or reach out to me, and I will be happy to answer. I probably won't put links for all of this gear in my description, but for the ones I can think of, check below. You'll see links for them. And feel free to reach out with any comments, concerns, or questions. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.